Hello, I am Dr. Mirela Cerneianu, and I welcome you to the Wellness Optimizing Warrior MD podcast, the WOW MD podcast. I am not your typical wellness coach, and this is not a typical wellness podcast. Here, I'll discuss educational facts about health, hormones, intimacy, anti-aging, and beauty trends, all very hot topics, to empower you to make great choices when it comes to your health and to your body. I want you to go, wow, I did not know that. Or, wow, this is going to make a great difference for me. Our healthcare system is broken and it needs a revolution. You and I can start one today. I am willing to share my knowledge with the world if you're willing to listen. Let's get started. Hello, I am so glad you are back listening for some more information about toxins and cancer. I do want to continue the theme of where I left off at the last podcast episode, where I talked about detoxification. And I do think that we talk a lot about cancer and hormones. Really, that's all I hear when I want to counsel a patient about hormones at their request. There is a major fear of cancer from hormones. However, no one, maybe 1 in 100 patients, maybe, is ever asking about, well, what about the toxins that I live with every day? What about my exposure? How can I test for that? I get asked a lot about testing for hormones. I get asked a lot about testing for cancer, but really rarely anyone asks me about testing for toxins. So this podcast episode theme is going to be about elimination of toxins. How do we eliminate our toxins naturally? And what is actually a detox? In the previous podcast episodes, when I talked about autoimmunity, I made a comment that there are over 80,000, more like 100,000 chemicals that have been introduced in our environment in the past few decades. And this is due to our modern life. We are exposed to these chemicals day in, day out, and every day-to-day interaction, we do things that get us exposed. Getting up in the morning and brushing our teeth, walking barefoot on the carpet, walking to and out of our car and breathing in the exhaust from our car or from the other cars, from the food that we eat and the drinks that we drink throughout the day, from the clothes that we wear and the detergent that we use to wash our clothes, the deodorant and the shampoo that we use, the skincare that we use, the electronic devices that we use every day, multiple times throughout the day for many hours. And I can go on and on and on, but you get the message. If you think of any one activity that you do throughout the day, think about how doing this activity makes you interact with your environment and what possibilities are from this interaction to get exposure to a chemical that the body now has to work hard to clean from the exposure effects. And the truth of the matter is that our body is really, really, really good at actually cleaning up the mess we make of our day-to-day interactions. And in spite of toxins, chemicals, radiation, and all kinds of things that we expose ourselves to every day living our daily lives, our body is naturally and magnificently equipped with means that allow us to purge, to clean, and freshen up our body 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, hopefully 80 years or more. Now, for that to happen, though, many things have to work just right. Your liver, your gut lining and your gut motility, your hydration and kidney elimination, your ability to sweat out toxins through your skin, your heart pump, your cardiovascular and lymphatic system circulation need to be proper. Your lungs and your breathing capacity have to work well. And last but not least, your muscle action and activity, including your heart, which acts like a pump, that will need to move everything towards the waste elimination organs and systems that we have. Now, I'll come back to this in a few minutes and talk more about our body's natural detoxification process and why some of us make a much better job of the detoxification we need while others do not. And they might not be able to due to various genetic mutations or different limitations due to medical conditions or their lifestyle. But let me get back first to talking about the contaminated world that we live in, and especially our diet. Now, what's clear and what you should know is that our desire to live a very modern, technology-driven life in a very modern society can and will impose a very serious burden on our body's ability to function and to keep us healthy every day of our lives. So let's talk about our food and our drink. And let me talk for a few minutes why our food and beverages might not be as clean as you think or as clean as you hope. We know, and if you don't know, let me tell you now, that you live in a chemically burdened world. And all of us unknowingly impose limitations on our body's health and challenges on our bodies by using more and more chemicals and products that are meant to develop better, stronger, cheaper crops of vegetables and fruits and grains and protein sources, whether animal or plant-based. So let's talk about chemicals. Chemicals are extremely prevalent in our environment, from pollutants in the air and the water to chemicals in food, cosmetics, and household products. The continuous exposure to these chemicals can and will lead up to a buildup of toxins in the body, affecting our health in numerous ways and creating disease like inflammation, autoimmunity, and likely cancer. This cannot be new to you. You must have heard this somewhere. TV, magazines, another podcast, another doctor, somebody must have told you this. It cannot be new information. However, what I want you to take from this episode is that the potential impact of these chemicals on our human health and our human well-being is huge, underestimated, and not talked about enough. We love to talk about cancers. We love to talk about hormones and how hormones are bad for us and give us cancer. But we do not like to talk about what these chemicals that we use daily are doing to our body. So I would like to introduce a new concept which you probably have not heard about. The concept of the body toxic burden and how our bodies accumulate and store chemicals over time. All living organisms, including us humans, are exposed to various toxic substances in the environment, leading to the accumulation of harmful chemicals in the body. This accumulation of toxins is known as the body's toxic burden. And the body toxic burden includes a wide range of substances, heavy metals, pesticides, pollutants, chemicals found in the food, in the water, the air, and consumer products. We risk carrying this body burden of synthetic chemicals and pollutants, and they can remain in our body's tissues even for many years. I'm not talking about days or months. I'm talking about years after the source of exposure has been removed. So stay tuned. I'm going to tell you more about that. But let's come back to this body toxic burden. Your total toxic load is your total exposure to toxins minus what your body is able to eliminate. This is referred to as your toxic overload or toxic burden. The idea is that each person's body is exposed to many toxins throughout the day. They enter the body, and ideally, our body needs to eliminate them promptly and as efficiently as possible. If that is not always possible, then the body will deposit them in our fat cells, our liver, our kidneys, unfortunately causing damage to these two organs. And they will as well get deposited in the connective tissue, our fascia, possibly in our bones. Now, the goal is not necessarily to get to zero toxic exposure. Let's be realistic. We live in a toxic world. We are surrounded by chemicals day in, day out, most of our lives. But the goal is to lower our toxic burden enough so that our natural detoxification systems can keep up and we do not experience any health challenges or symptoms. So if our detoxification organs and systems that I mentioned earlier when I talked about the lymphatic system, the muscle activity, the heart pump, the kidney, the liver, the skin, and all of that, once these systems are overwhelmed and when our toxic burden reaches a critical point, which again will be very different from person to person, more to come on this theme, that is when you experience symptoms. So let me repeat that because that's important. If our detoxification organs and systems are overwhelmed and your toxic burden will reach a critical point, that is when you experience symptoms. So let's do a quick recap of what these symptoms might look like. Number one, autoimmune disease. All types of autoimmune disease. Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, colitis, multiple sclerosis, fibromyalgia, a ton of them. Psoriasis, I could go on and on. Number two, chemical sensitivity. You might not like chemical smells. You get rashes from new clothes. You get headaches from cleaning products. You get hypersensitive. That's a sign. Number three, digestive issues. Difficulty digesting fatty foods, bloating, gallstones, chronic constipation or diarrhea, IBS, SIBO, Crohn's disease. Number four, fatigue or feeling sluggish all day, even after sleeping a good night's sleep. Number five, brain fog. Number six, long-term pain and inflammation that is not explained by any injury or trauma. Number seven, mental illness, all types, including anxiety, depression, bipolar, OCD, possible autism, possible ADD, etc. Number eight, symptoms of parasites, anal itching, abdominal pain, insatiable appetite and cravings, and so much more. Number nine, food sensitivities or histamine sensitivity. Number 10, stubborn weight gain or weight loss challenges. Number 11, migraines and headaches. Number 12, menstrual issues, PMS, PCOS, endometriosis, adenomyosis, infertility. Number 13, skin rashes and skin problems, dermatitis, eczema, rosacea, psoriasis. The list can go on and on. And last but not least, cancer. So I pretty much mentioned a bunch of problems that are not explained by viruses, parasites, bacteria, and they're actually explained by toxins. So how do we detox? Why do some of us make a better job at detoxing than others? What are the genetic traits that impair our ability to detox effectively? Let me try to answer these three questions. How do we detox? Well, we are equipped with many organs and systems that allow us to eliminate toxins. We have our lungs. They will detoxify us by removing all the bad gases. Our skin will detoxify us by sweating out the chemicals. Our digestive system will detoxify us by eliminating all necessary byproducts of digestion and chemicals ingested through the stool, or in acute circumstances by throwing up the substance that is damaging us in the form of vomiting. Our kidneys detoxify us by filtering and eliminating chemicals, toxins, viruses, parasites, pretty much anything. They are our filtration system. And last, but not at all least, this is actually number one, should have started it that way. I left it for the last because it is the most important. It is our liver. It detoxifies us of almost everything by altering its chemical nature and by making that chemical toxin able to be eliminated through the stool, the urine, or the sweat. So these are our detoxification organs and systems. Now, like I said, we do need good circulation to irrigate and to circulate the products and the toxin back and forth so it can be processed and eliminated. And we also need our muscles that act like a pump to move this and circulate these products. So let's continue with question number 2. Why do some of us make a better job at detoxifying than others? First of all, it's all about how our liver, our kidney, our skin, our digestion and lung elimination work. So for those of us that have excellent liver power and do not suffer from fatty liver or chronic liver disease caused by a previous hepatitis infection or have alcohol-induced damage, obviously, we might be able to process and handle chemicals much better than a person whose liver is sick. Second, we need a normal bowel function to allow elimination via stool. All of the chemicals and byproducts of toxin exposure need to be eliminated via our stool. So those that suffer from constipation or have chronic digestion issues like heartburn and bloating, those are signs indicating the digestion is not functioning optimally. Your microbiome might be compromised. Sometimes there's no signs or symptoms for that, creating a problem with the effective elimination of our toxins and byproducts of toxin exposure. Now, last and not least, people who suffer from chronic kidney disease or have a decline in their kidney function due to aging or persistent use of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents like ibuprofen for arthritis are not able to filter out and flush out toxins like a normal person. So their ability to flush these toxins out, it's impaired. Moving the blood, carrying the toxins to the organs and systems required to process and eliminate the toxins will be impossible if a person is sedentary or sitting for 8 hours or more a day. So moving and exercising is crucial. Stretching throughout the day, getting massages is very, very important. Also, in order to eliminate toxins properly, we need to stop or limit exposure to further toxins. We cannot allow the body to reduce its toxic burden and resume natural detoxification if we keep exposing it. Now, some people are really good at periodically taking a break from alcohol. They're good at fasting, juicing, or simply doing a very periodic elimination diet. Some are not good at this at all, and they do not want to consider any such options until the knife gets to the bone. Then they are desperate and ready to try anything at that point. Now, some of us are really educated about this. We are proactive, we understand the world we live in, we understand our exposure, but most of us can be absolutely clueless as to how damaging for their health the environment they live in is, or how harmful their diet could be for their health. Now, this could be an excellent podcast subject by itself. So I will keep going and answer the last question. What are the genetic traits that impair our ability to detoxify effectively? And why are we not talking more about these genetic mutations that are so important? Well, number one genetic mutation that impairs our ability to detoxify is MTHFR, methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase mutation. Many people that come to see me have never heard of this mutation. There are, however, many outlying professionals that do a much better job at this than the endocrinologist or the cardiologist or the gastroenterologist or the internal medicine doctor or the OBGYN. The naturopaths and other alternative healthcare providers are way ahead of the curve. They tell people about MTHFR. They have people tested for it. And just to give you an example, one of my clients just thanked me the other day because I tested her for it. She was actually positive for the gene, but hadn't had a chance to get the results because we didn't have our appointment. However, she went to get her iris read in her eye, some kind of test. And the provider that she had it with said, you have the MTHFR mutation. And she's like, oh my God, I got tested for that. Let me get the test results. And lo and behold, she was positive. And when 2 different providers told her, hey, this might be why you can't sleep, she realized, I better do something about this and fix it. So let's talk more about this MTHFR. The MTHFR gene provides instructions for making an enzyme called methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase. This enzyme plays a role in processing amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins. Methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase enzyme is important for a chemical reaction that involves the vitamin folate, or also known as B9. Specifically, this enzyme converts a form of folate to a different form of folate. This is, however, super necessary for the multi-step process, converting amino acid homocysteine to another amino acid methionine, which is used by the body to make proteins and other very important compounds. So if you have a MTHFR mutation and you're not supplementing with folate, most likely your homocysteine levels in the blood will be high. Homocysteine is also an inflammatory marker, and I strongly advise all my anti-aging clients over the age of 50 to have homocysteine tested as part of their annual checkup. Most of them don't want it. I actually stopped offering it because 90% of people would turn me down. It is sometimes not covered by insurance, and most of them would actually get the bill and not like the bill. So I stopped offering it. However, it's a very important test. If you care about anti-aging and you have the MTHFR mutation, you really need the homocysteine annual level. So coming back to MTHFR, this enzyme is responsible for maintaining methionine and homocysteine balance that is crucial to prevent cellular dysfunction. MTHFR is important in the process of methylation. That's another thing most patients have never heard of. Methylation is super important, so I'll come back to it in 1 second. But MTHFR participates in the conversion of methionine into SAMe, which is a universal methyl donor. The methylation process, which I just mentioned a second ago, what does it do? It is so important. If you've never heard of this, let me tell you. This is one of the 3 key reactions on how your body helps you detoxify heavy metals and your neurotransmitters. So when there is an MTHFR mutation, that person will not be able to detoxify their body of heavy metals effectively. And these heavy metals can then lie at the root of their autoimmunity, other chronic inflammatory conditions, chronic fatigue, foggy brain, etc., etc. The methylation is essential to methylate your neurotransmitters, which is the first step of how your neurotransmitters will be detoxified out of your body. So what happens if you cannot methylate neurotransmitters effectively? Well, your adrenaline and noradrenaline will create a sense of nervousness and agitation and anxiety. So MTHFR mutation carriers are much more prone to anxiety. Again, that's another subject for another podcast. I could go on and on about MTHFR, but let's stick to our detox. Other than methylation, there are 2 other reactions in the body that could be also subject to genetic issues. The glucuronidation pathway or the sulfation pathway. Those are step 2 detoxification processes that happen in the liver. Let me give you another example. Gilbert syndrome. This is a mutation in the gene that accounts for an enzyme that is responsible for the glucuronidation of bilirubin. This pathway accounts for 35% of our drug conjugation in general. It is a major mechanism for formation of water-soluble substrates. Why is it crucial to have these water-soluble substrates? Because we want to pee them out. We want to filtrate them through our kidneys. And we need this formation of water-soluble substrates from xenobiotics. So those xenoestrogens, which are lipophilic, and as soon as you get them into your body, they're meant to be taken and deposited in your fat your body needs to process them and get them out and transform them into water-soluble compounds so you do not end up with an accumulation of these xenoestrogens. So these products, now that they're water-soluble, would be eliminated in the body via the bile or the urine. So again, let's talk more about this process of neutralization and elimination that the body has to do when we come in contact or we ingest toxic compounds. So this is a 3-phase process. Phase 1 is the initial transformation phase. This phase will always take place in the liver and involves the oxidation, reduction, or hydrolysis of these fat-soluble compounds. Most of these are fat-soluble, but there's some that are water-solubles. And it turns them into products that could be often more toxic and unstable than the original toxin. So very crucial that this phase is quickly processed and turned into phase 2. Phase 2 is the conjugation phase. Very, very, very important. This phase also takes place primarily in the liver, where now these phase 1 metabolites are converted into more water-soluble, less toxic compounds via different processes. I mentioned methylation, glucuronidation, sulfation. There's also acetylation and glutathione. I know, big words, but we basically have to methylate, sulfate, glucuronate, which just means adding a methyl molecule, a sulfate molecule, a glucuronate molecule, a glutathione molecule to the compound to make it water-soluble and get rid of it. And this takes us to phase 3, which is the elimination excretion phase. This takes place through the liver into the kidney or intestines and literally involves the transport of these conjugated compounds out of the cells and out of the body. There is a very distinct set of enzymes that are required to carry out each one of these 3 phases of detoxification. The activity of each one of these enzymes is very largely influenced by genetic factors. There is a gene that encodes each one of these enzymes. So there will be genetic mutations for each one of these genes, which means they will usually manifest with a significant inability of processing and eliminating toxins or detoxifying, which is why living in the same environment affects some people by getting cancer and others simply thrive and have no issue. Keep in mind, our detoxification is a very complex process under the influence of hundreds of genes and thousands of SNPs. Genetic testing can provide important insight into our ability to effectively clear toxins from the body and reduce potential harmful effects of these compounds that are so pervasive throughout our environment. There are many tests available to guide us. Obviously, some of these tests will not be covered by your insurance carrier. However, the heavy metal comprehensive urine panel is. But we do need, as providers, to move on from testing a CBC, a CMP, a TSH, a cholesterol, and then telling people you're fine when they're not. Because now we have the ability to test for so much more. I got a lot of questions after the last episode asking about the medical grade detox programs. So I just want to say a few words before I end. These formulas support the phase 1 and phase 2 pathways of the liver biotransformation of toxins, while promoting phase 3 elimination pathways, helping the safe processing and removal of environmental pollutants, hormone disruptors, unhealthy estrogen metabolites, the xenoestrogens, which are synthetic compounds imitating estrogen, and any other harmful toxins from the body. This combination of specialized formulas provides essential micronutrients, phytonutrients, with a source of easily digested hypoallergenic protein that supports the liver and can fuel optimal biotransformation of toxins into the byproducts that can then be safely eliminated. These kits come in a box. Usually it's a very easy to follow 7-day, 14-day, or 21-day program. and is designed to reduce the incoming burden of toxins to help the body restore optimal health. The standard American diet, which is high in caffeine, alcohol, processed foods, canned beverages, while low in nutrient density and fiber, is not really able to support the body's healthy natural detoxification mechanism and effectively reduce elimination of toxins. It just keeps adding more and more and more day in, day out. Therefore, it is important to have a comprehensive detoxification strategy that supports the key phases of the body's natural detoxification. So keep in mind, some people are really good at it and some people are not and have no clue how to do it. So come and ask for help. We can help you. So what is in these products? Well, first of all, keep in mind the liver, our number one detox organ. We are nothing without our liver. Very, very important. It requires vast amounts of energy to work and do all these enzymatic processes of cleanup. So this energy is generated in the form of ATP, and it needs this energy to neutralize all the toxins. Please know that each hepatic cell has about 1,000 to 2,000 mitochondria. It's like engine that makes the cell going. If our liver mitochondria does not produce adequate ATP, which is energy, it will reduce the rate of our detoxification and can lead to health challenges. As I said before, in phase 1, which happens in the liver, a very specialized family of enzymes known as the cytochrome P450 enzymes will use oxygen inside the cells of the liver to form a reactive site with the toxic compounds. This process creates highly reactive compounds that are actually more harmful and reactive than the initial toxin. These are very strong free radicals that can actually cause structural damage to our lipids, proteins, and DNA within the cell. That is why phase 2 detoxification is a crucial step that must be ready to go and optimized fully to bind, package, and neutralize these harmful intermediate metabolites so they can now be safely eliminated from the body. And last but not least, the final step of the detoxification, phase 3, these neutralized water-soluble compounds can now be eliminated in the urine, the bile, the stool, the sweat, etc. So the products in a detox program will provide a multi-nutrient foundation to ensure that the liver has adequate amounts of the crucial trace minerals and vitamins needed for the nutrient and energy-intensive process of detoxification. So yes, a detox program will mainly be composed of a lot of vitamins and micronutrients. The program usually contains prepackaged pills in little packs or pill bottles. And usually it's a functional food powder that contains a comprehensive combination of nutritious protein, fiber with various nutrients like antioxidants, herbs, fruit and vegetable extracts to support healthy detox. The kit will have specific nutrients like N-acetylcysteine, called NAC, glycine and taurine, very well-known amino acids that enhance liver detox. Other antioxidants like alpha-lipoic acid, green tea, ellagic acid, with a unique vegetable antioxidant blend that might be in the products, will upregulate key phase 2 enzymes and protect the liver from oxidative damage. In addition, these products might contain watercress, pomegranate, and potassium citrate to provide support for the kidneys, facilitating the efficient elimination of toxins through the urine. These formulations usually provide key nutrients like vitamin C and vitamin B that are required for phase 1 cytochrome P450 activity and the phase 2 conjugation pathways. Remember, phase 1, it generates all those toxic reactive species, and phase 2 will take them, conjugate them, and make them ready to eliminate. These packages will also include powerful antioxidants like alpha-lipoic acid, NAC, shown to recharge cellular energy production and replenish the cellular antioxidant pool of glutathione, one of our major antioxidants that quenches the free radicals. It will likely contain vitamins like vitamin C, vitamin E, to help scavenge these free radicals and protect the cells while these toxins are being removed. These cells can be damaged by the toxins, so we want to freshen up our cells after they've worked hard to get rid of the toxins. Some of these formulas will provide key micronutrients and phytonutrients like green tea, broccoli seed extract, resveratrol, that will protect our mitochondria and work to renew the cycle of energy production. Usually there's also silymarin, artichoke, turmeric, methionine, choline, inositol, garlic, dandelion root, and other botanicals that will provide compounds that will increase cellular defenses, upregulate detoxification, and protect our DNA. So in case you were wondering what the heck is up with these medical grade detox packages, well, that's what this is, basically. It's a powder that's nutritious, it's got protein, it's got fiber, and some antioxidants in it. And it's usually a kit containing prepackaged pills or bottles that are specifically formulated to enhance phase 1, support and speed up phase 2, and ensure phase 3 is very effective at elimination once everything has been processed. If you have more questions about doing a medical grade detox, please call us for an appointment. We'll be happy to guide you and give you some options with different companies. We can also order some testing to see if you have MTHFR mutation, to check your homocysteine levels, to check your heavy metal panel, or other testing for toxins as you might have need of. I look forward to picking this up and discussing the topic of, are we eating a dirty diet? And is our food and way of life making us sick, and how? Into the next episode. So please join me next week as I talk more on this topic. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for listening. If you are one of my faithful listeners and you are finding value and enjoying these episodes, please feel free to leave me a review on whatever platform you're listening to. Also, if you find the content in these topics useful, not just to you, but to someone else, a friend, a loved one, or simply an acquaintance that you know could benefit from the knowledge I share here, please feel free to forward my podcast to them. If you live in California and you'd like to work with our practice to help you achieve your wellness goals, please go to our website, www.herabeautyandwellness.com, and request an appointment. It will be our privilege to help you in any way, shape, and form we can. Any suggestions on a topic of beauty, wellness, or anti-aging are welcome. All you have to do is go to the website, leave a suggestion into the AI chat, and I promise you, if you ask, I will listen and add your suggestion to my list of topics that I want to get to as soon as possible. Please join our Facebook group, The Wellness Optimizing Warrior MD. It's a small growing community that focuses on wellness, on what's new, what's safe, and what works in beauty, wellness, and anti-aging.